download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
This your captain. Better buckle your seatbelts for this one. I saw my passport expired, so I went to Staples, got a passport photo lickety-split. While I was there, I grabbed some tiny travel soap and shampoo. I should have got some from my co-pilot. Just kidding, Brad.
Staples has everything for travel. 10-minute passport photos, luggage, headphones, even personal travel items. And now at Staples, get $10 off your purchase of $30 or more when you buy a travel service. Staples, your first stop to nonstop travel. Ends 9/16. In-store only. Exclusions apply.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Good morning, area.
It's time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game.
Come on!
We back. After a quick day off, I've made my triumphant return here on the Pregame Show. It is your host, Joe Spadoni. And for the next hour, I'm going to be addressing the situation going on right now in the Bay Area as it pertains to our sporting landscape. And the word I keep coming back to is panic. There's a lot of panicking going on right now. Whether it's the Giants, another loss, another series loss yesterday. You had an inside the park home run. What? A legit one, by the way. None of those Little League crap. No errors. One of the weirdest hops I've ever seen. They take the L 6-1 yesterday. You got Kapler getting snippy with some beat reporters, beat writers, if you will. We'll play that sound. They're fading fast. They're only a game and a half up on the Chicago Cubs, who keep winning. Miraculous again yesterday. Walk-off 3-run jack against their rivals in Chi-Town against the horrible White Sox. You got Trey Lance, and we're starting to label him with that B word already. Bust. He's got a massive game coming up this Saturday at Levi's Stadium. How much playing time is he going to get in the first or second half? We'll hear from Kyle Shanahan, who spoke to the media yesterday. We'll also hear from David Lombardi, join the Morning Roast, get his thoughts on what he's seeing. He covers the team for The Athletic, does a hell of a job. And also former 49er, JT O'Sullivan, who, as you know, does the QB school. Great insight, breaks down the X's and O's as it pertains to the quarterback position. Does it better than everyone else. He joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday. Willard and JD, I should say. JD and for Dan Dibley. And he had some interesting thoughts on Trey Lance, his draft status, what it means, all that. But the theme of this morning's show is panic. And 888-957-9570. That's the number to call or text, the Xfinity mobile text line. You can also hit us up on Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. And also be sure to download that Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game. For all of your panic-inducing sports, the Giants, Warriors, 49ers, and anything else. You got your pop culture, you got your history, you got your true crimes, ghost hunter, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure they have astrology for the people that are believe in that stuff. I was going to say crap, but I'll be respectful this morning. It's 5:03 a.m. on a Thursday. Not quite a payday Friday, but we're getting there. We're itching. We're feeling it. We're feeling it. Good morning to all of you lovely, lovely people. Ernie Chavez. Appreciate you chiming in. I haven't seen you in a while, Ernie, in the YouTube chat early on, but I appreciate you chiming in at this hour of the day. Also, as I was gone, big announcement happening at 95.7 The Game. Football season is here, folks. And what better way to kick it off than with 95.7 The Game's Red and Gold Summit? join all your favorite 95.7 The Game hosts at Fieldwork Brewing Company in San Ramon to welcome in the football year on Tuesday, August 29th. Willard and Dids will start it off at 2 p.m. Then the summit will go on from 4 to 6. All the hosts will debate and answer the most burning questions surrounding the red and gold during a live show right in front of you, our loyal listeners. Again, that's Tuesday, August 29th at Fieldwork Brewing Co., Tap Room and Beer Garden in San Ramon, now featuring the Lynx Top Golf Simulators. So there you have it. That was awesome when we had the Warriors end of the year summit at Buonvino. Now we're doing it over at Fieldwork Brewing Co. They have a couple different locations. We'll be doing the one at San Ramon. So cannot wait for that. August 29th, Tuesday. It's coming up less than 2 weeks now. And this 49ers season's coming up. Right? Ernie, sometimes I don't get on and just listen on the radio. I appreciate you. You could also just listen to us the old-fashioned way, as Ernie mentioned, 95.7 The Game. Squirrel, sorry. But Panic is the name of this show. Not Joe Panic, just your normal Panic. And there's 3 different situations happening. 2 of which pertain to one team, 1 of which pertains to the team we're going to open up and discuss right now, and that's the San Francisco Giants, who took a 6-1 L yesterday to Tampa to lose that series. That's what? 4 consecutive loss series? It's not good. It's not good. And this team right now, losing to the A's, losing to the Angels, losing to the Rangers, losing to the Rays, it's not good. 2 of those teams, specifically, and the A's and Angels, unacceptable. Rangers, okay, they're legit. They're a World Series contender. Rays, I know they don't have McClanahan, Baz, the Wander Franco situation, not great. That's an understatement. But they're still legit. Tyler Glasnow, amongst others. Lowe, Lau, Rosarena. They're a fun team. Diaz. But the San Francisco Giants have been streaky all season long. And we're expecting them to go on this winning streak soon. Something. Better play. The problem is, it takes 2 to tango with that. And if the bats aren't hitting, and you're not getting production there consistently, then you have to have, some of the best starting pitching and bullpen in the game. And while the bullpen may be a World Series type of bullpen, as Bonta Hill, the Morning Roast, said, the starting pitching has to help out. And Ross Stripling, who had been pitching pretty well, I'll give him credit. He's been pitching better the last 3, 4, 5 starts. Didn't get it done yesterday. It was a warm day. It was windy. The ball was flying. It got away from him. And it got ugly fast. When guys are hitting deep bombs 430 feet to dead center, yeah, it's not working. So, say what you will about, the bats and whatnot, but if the starting pitching's not going to produce, you don't even know who your starting pitches are, 3, 4, 5, 6 days out of the week, it's going to be tough. Listen, the sky's not falling yet for the Giants, and I understand it might be. This is why we're going back to this theme of today's show, panic, because it feels like it's panic everywhere. It feels like that. Panic at the Disco, Brett and Yuri. I write Sins on Tragedies. It feels like the sky is falling. But then you look at the standings, they're right there. They're right there. 3-7 in their last 10. They're reeling more than anyone else. Phillies, see if they're going to start gaining some separation. Maybe they're 2 games up on the Giants now. Again, just mentioned the Cubs. They're right there. Cincinnati, Miami. Giants are just 1.5 up on all those teams. Arizona, they're right there. Hell, the Padres, they've won 2 in a row, but also 3-7 in their last 10. Could they go on a run potentially? You saw Tatis steal home yesterday in a win against the Orioles. And I think this back and forth with Kapler yesterday after the game and after the loss kind of signaled, at least to me, the first time where I'm starting to see this team actually sweat. And, the losses are starting to get to them. because they've been even keel pretty much all year round, right? The expectations for this team, Farhan said, was just to make the playoffs. Well, right now, if the season ended, they're in the playoffs. So I'll give them credit there. August 17th, they're in the mix. We're discussing them. That's great. How does it look? Well, it looked a lot better a couple months ago. You had Casey Schmidt balling. You had the Matoses of the world playing well. Tyro Estrada looking great. Doval, still a baller. All-star. Alex Cobb, all-star. He's fading a little bit. Logan Webb should have been an all-star. So you had pieces in place to be excited about for the future, and you still do. Patrick Bailey being one of them, absolutely. Doval, Webb, Estrada, okay, he's faded a little bit. But he got a home run the other day. So you had things to still be excited about, just not as excited. And with the losses piling up, 3-7 in your last 10, it's not going great. And then you get a back and forth like this with Gabe Kapler talking about the pinch hitting of Austin Slater yesterday and whether that was the best move. Take a listen.
Earlier this series, we talked about why you stuck with Wade Meckler in the bases loaded against a lefty. Bases loaded against a lefty tonight, you decided to pinch hit Slater for him. What changed, if anything, in that decision?
I'm absolutely happy to make the distinction, but I'm just curious if you know the distinction.
Is it just Slater versus Ramos?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a disrespect to Ramos in any way, but I think Ramos has like 4 career pinch hit at bats. Slater's one of the best pinch hitters in baseball. So I don't mind, of course, explaining something, but I just sometimes wonder if the question is, hey, can you say it? Or if that distinction isn't clear. I'm just curious about that.
Slater hasn't been hitting awesome either. He has a more track record, sure, but...
Would you agree that he's one of the 5 best right-handed pinch hitters over the course of the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
Do you think there's that creates a distinction between him and a guy that has 4 career pinch hit at bats?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm just wondering if what you're asking is for me to say that, or if whether or not there's a distinction at all for you.
It was a similar situation, so I think people would be interested to learn and hear you explain it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, again, Slater's one of the best pinch hitters in baseball, particularly against left-handed pitching over the course of the last 3 seasons. And so in that situation, we trust that he's going to go up there and have a good at-bat. He did, and he grounded into a double play. But I had him go up there because he's really, really good at that. Just has had a stretch where he hasn't had a lot of success.
Okay, spicy Gabe Kapler. Didn't expect that yesterday, but that's just how bad things are going right now for the San Francisco Giants. And you got spicy Gabe. Things aren't going well. Usually calm, cool, collected. And, he's on his little couch. He's got his liqueur next to him, his little cart. But yesterday, he wasn't having it. Wasn't feeling it. And you know what? I think Gabe's in the wrong here. I do. You can't be answering a question with another question when it was a legitimate question by the beat reporter. Hey, why'd you go with this guy? All you have to do is answer the question. That's it. Well, why are you asking it that way? No. Just answer the damn question. That's all you want. He was absolutely trying to make that beat reporter look bad. That was his goal. The goal of the beat reporter, just like any good beat reporter, is to answer the questions that, are legitimate. And it was a legitimate question at the time. Slater has not been great in pinch hit situations as of late. Kapler said, well, historically, he's still one of the best the last few seasons. Okay, great. Lately, he has not been that dude. Elio Ramos, yeah, great. He's only had 4 pinch hit situations. Okay. And I don't think it was that crazy of a question, right? It was not something where it's like, how dare you ask that? Oh my God. Come on, Gabe. Better than that. And that's why I'm talking about this word panic. Panic is starting to creep in with this Giants fan base at 888-957-9570. Are you panicking, Giants fans? Or are you like, you know what? It's not worth panicking about. Because you know what? The team already signaled at the deadline. They weren't going for it. They didn't believe. Well, it is what it is. But I say to that, you're just right there. We've got a month to go, basically. Month and a half. And I look at all these teams, the Cubs, the Reds, Marlins, Diamondbacks. Okay, you scared of any of those teams? The Mets are still in it. Freaking Mets, 7.5 back. Now, I don't think they're going to make a run. That's not the craziest thing. Those are the teams you're going up against. So 888-957-9570. Where are you at, Giants fans? We panicking yet? Because Gabe Kapler sure feels like he's getting backed into a corner and he's getting snippy with beat reporters telling me there's a little panic in that clubhouse. Not Joe, but just some panic. So we'll continue to take your calls and texts as it pertains to the Giants. They lose 6-1 yesterday against the Tampa Bay Rays. Getting snippy at beat reporters. Not a good time down at Oracle Park. Not a great time to beat Trey Lance either. As we shift over to the 49ers, obviously taking a big fat L to the Las Vegas Raiders last Sunday. They play the Denver Broncos this Saturday at Levi Stadium. We'll see who starts, who finishes that game. Will it be Trey? Will it be Sam Darnold? Will Brock Purdy play? We'll hear from Kyle Shanahan, who spoke to the media yesterday. But I wanted to go on the theme still of panic. And I think a lot of people, and maybe it's, overreaction to panic about a QB2, a backup. But with this team, we've seen just how important that is. The reason we're having all this fanfare and craziness about the backup quarterback position for the San Francisco 49ers is because we saw what culminated in the NFC Championship game. We've seen in years past the quarterback just not be able to stay healthy, whether it was Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, Beathers, Mullen, what have you. They just have not been able to stay healthy. And Brock Purdy, God love him, hurt his arm. Night, see you later. Eagles on to the Super Bowl. We get all that. So that's why we're kind of going crazy around here with this discussion. Another reason why is because Trey Lance, you gave up all this draft capital for a guy that just hasn't played a lot of football. And now it's kind of rearing its ugly head to where it's like, listen, we're 3 years into this. We're going to be 4 years into this. And this guy, where's he at? We don't know. And that's a problem. So panic in that sense starting to creep in that, man, the Niners gave up all this just for a guy that may end up being one of the biggest busts in the history of the NFL. And I know that sounds unfair when you compare them to the guys like Ryan Leaf and Jamarcus Russell, who were legit busts because they were drafted 1 or 2. But when you factor in how much the Niners gave up for this guy to pick him where they picked him, and for him to look as bad as he has at times, and for him not even to get the reps, the starts, fair or not, he's going to be in that conversation of biggest busts ever. Now, can he change all that? Does he still have time? Sure. But we're going to have to start seeing some improvements. And damn quick. We are. I wanted to get into this real quick. I was out yesterday, obviously, and 888-957-9570. What are you panicking about most in sports right now? You can do a Bay Area, it could be nationally, whatever. We're national here on the pregame show, so cater to the local fans first. But if there's a team, you're a Colts fan, Steelers fan, Broncos fan, whatever. It could be baseball. You could be a Padres fan, whatever. What are you panicking about right now in sports? Right now, we got the Giants here in the Bay. We got Trey Lance, and we got some interceptions for Brock Purdy, which I don't think is getting, it's kind of getting too much coverage to me. We'll get into that a little bit later. The interception totals and practice, I don't think is that big of a deal, but maybe for some, that's another reason to panic, so we'll get into that. But here's what Michael Lombardi said the other day. Michael Lombardi, former scout with the 49ers, former scout, assistant to the GM, whatever, what have you, with the Raiders, been a part of a lot of successful teams, been a part of not so successful teams. Shout out to Cleveland Browns. Does his thing. Here he is talking about Trey Lance and not having the instinct to be an NFL quarterback. Take a listen here.
As you go down this road with Lance, it just becomes harder and harder and harder. And you could show all the clips of him moving and all that stuff. At the end of the day, when his mama lifted him from the crib, he just didn't have that quarterback instinct. He is not going to be the backup quarterback. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but there's no chance. There is no chance based on the evidence that I've seen and based on what I've heard.
Michael, I asked you this before we ended the Lombardi line yesterday on VSiN. I think that he might be competing to stay on the 53-man roster. Like, is that where we at with Trey Lance right now? Like, are these reps looking for him to be able to say, can he stay on this roster and be a viable 49er?
Well, I think you got to look at this, right? Like, you know that once you reach a conclusion on a player, okay, once you really have a handle on who the player is, then you've got to make some decisions.
Okay, that was Michael Lombardi discussing Trey Lance. And I think, like most people, the problem I have with that one is the comment of the mama getting him out of his crib. Like, what are we doing? I just seen made me a little uncomfortable there. Just say he's just not good. He's not a good NFL player. From what we've seen, I don't think it's that crazy to say. He hasn't been. You could say he hasn't, had the opportunities, been hurt. You haven't had the reps. That's great. That's fine. It's all true. He also hasn't done enough with his opportunities to, turn heads and show, like, listen, I've seen enough from this guy already to put faith in him going forward. I just thought the comments there from Michael Lombardi were kind of weak. And Bomani Jones, who joined the morning roast yesterday, thought so as well.
Okay, so the thing that gets me, part of it is like a little bit small, and it was the fact that he used the word mama. You know what I mean? Like, felt like a bit of an unnecessary affectation that I don't think that he uses if he's talking about, say, Sam Darnold, for example, right? Right. Now, where this gets to be interesting, we're talking about Lance, of course, is, did he ever say that about Sam Darnold? He's right there, right? Mr. I'm seeing ghosts. As bad as things got with Darnold, I don't recall people using terms so hyperbolic and acting like the issue was so essential. And that's the part that, to me, feels like happens more to black people in this space than anybody else. And I could be wrong, because, again, I don't really understand what in the world he's talking about, number one. And number two, how you can be so sure about somebody where the sample size that we're dealing with is so small. That's the whole thing with everything that surrounds Lance that I just find to be so confusing, is that the talent is obvious and so many people are willing to bail on him based on a small sample size to jump on board a dude that's far less talented and also dealing with a pretty small sample size.
That's an interesting thing right there from Bomani Jones. Is Brock Purdy far less talented than Trey Lance? 888-957-9570. Is he? I mean, physically, sure. Like, you can just look at this, like, just look at them. Yes. Physically and physical attributes aside, I don't think it's that crazy from what we just saw in the NFL and what Brock Purdy looked like just given last season. That 8-game stretch was pretty damn incredible, and he was playing like a top 10, if not a top 5 quarterback at some times. I don't think there's been any point in Trey Lance's career where we could say that. Now, he went just talent. Okay. I think we've kind of overrated Trey's talent just a little bit, right? He looks slow. Maybe that's because of the injuries. I get it. Maybe he was something else before that, but I can only judge off what he is at this point. And what he is at this point is indecisive, late, unsure, hesitant, not aggressive, and just not good enough. That's right now. And that's what I'm judging off last preseason game. And we'll wait and see with Brock Purdy. Can he replicate what he did last season in that small sample size? We shall see. And I understand what Bomani Jones, and those of you who don't know, Bomani Jones, formerly of ESPN, Game Theory on HBO, The Right Time with Bomani Jones, ESPN Radio. Hell of a job. He's covers all the leagues, very smart, breaks it all down. Love Bomani. But I think I disagree with his assessment there about talent. The small sample size, sure. That's one thing. But with Trey, he just needs the reps. Say what you want about Brock Purdy. He played a lot in college, and it mattered most. Hell, Aiden O'Connell, the guy that outplayed everyone last week, rookie out of Purdue for the Raiders, played a lot of football. He was a walk-on. So is Trey Lance even going to get enough opportunities within the next year or so to even improve? I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't. 888-957-9570. We're talking panic in the Bay Area, panic in sports. What are you panicking about most? Is it Trey Lance? Is it, Gabe Kapler of the Giants? Is it Brock Purdy? A couple more picks yesterday in practice. You getting nervous, Niner fans? 888-957-9570. Picks in practice. Come on. I know he's coming off elbow surgery. I know his arm isn't the best. If he starts throwing picks in games, I will be concerned. Practice, not really. He's being aggressive. Shannon was talking to the media yesterday, told his guys, I'm not really worried about practice interceptions. They're being aggressive. They're being decisive. They're knowing what to do with the ball. That's what I care about most. And I think he's saying that for Purdy, but he's also saying that to guys like Sam Darnold and Trey Lance. Hey, be aggressive, guys. This is your opportunity. Purdy might go down at some point this season. He may miss a few games. That's your opportunity to seize. Sam, if you want to be a starter elsewhere down the road, either with this team or another team, that's your opportunity. You got to be aggressive. Can't be hesitant. And I don't know if that's something you could ever truly get away from, if that's ingrained in your DNA as a quarterback. We mentioned Derek Carr a lot around here and what he was after his major injury, his broken leg, and then what he was before that. Before that, he's an MVP candidate. Hell, looked like he was going to be MVP of the league. Now, I think that one ended up going to Tom Brady. Maybe he still would have won it. But he was in the conversation. And then after that, he just looked like, just a whole different player. Hesitant, unsure. Prior to that injury, he was just guns a-blazing. Shasky used the term swashbuckler the other day. That's what he was. He was a Raider. Unfazed. You felt like if he had the ball in his hand with 2 minutes, they were going to win the game. Now, yeah, he has all these comebacks still. I get it. 2 years ago, they had an amazing run. Getting knocked down that first round against the Bengals, had an opportunity, threw a pick in the end zone. Didn't even give his guy a chance. So we'll see what he does in New Orleans this year, by the way. Cannot wait for that storyline. Talking about storylines around the league. Derek Carr with the Saints. No excuses this time. You got a defense. Michael Thomas is back. You got Alvin Kamara. You got Olave. Got no line. So we'll see. Got a lot of young quarterbacks in that division. Bryce Young. Yeah, you got Baker. Got Desmond Ridder. Should definitely win that division. Should definitely. Especially in a wide open NFC. 888-957-9570. What are you panicking about most in sports? We'll continue to take your calls and texts on there. Good morning to all of you on Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Sideshow Bob, 187, Big Sneaky, Xavier Dubb, Michael Blake, my family, Kyle Kelly, all you guys. We'll get to all of you on the other side as well, right here on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be.
Welcome to today's matinee.
Ever since we got Xfinity, my little sister and her friends can easily stream all their favorite stuff.
We'll start with 2 episodes of Top Chef, then Chopped.
When I was a kid, we'd worry about buffering. Now they just worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Enjoy these fine meats and cheeses.
These are just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese.
Indeed.
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network.
Now through September 6th, new customers can get 1.2 gig internet on the Xfinity 10G network made for streaming for just $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile. There's no annual contract and you get Wi-Fi equipment included. Plus, add Now TV for just $20 a month.
Welcome back. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. We're talking panic. Nothing to panic about, real life. He's got too much to worry about. This is sports panic. Bills. Getting sick, allergies. My allergies been acting up. None of that. Sports panic. What are you panicking about right now in sports? Because there's a lot here in the Bay Area. Giants are fading. Took the L yesterday to the Tampa Bay Rays. Lost that series. 6-1. We had an inside the park home run. You're down bad when that happens. One of the weirdest ricochets I've ever seen. Sorry, Mackler. He had no chance on that one. Got the 49ers, Trey Lance, getting labeled with that B word a lot more lately with each and every game he's played next. And we'll see if he could silence some of the doubters this Saturday at Levi's when they take on the Denver Broncos. See if Brock Purdy plays in that game. And we'll also see if, Sam Darnold will get those first team reps. He's going to play with any of the ones. So that'll be something to monitor as well. Another reason to panic for some, maybe not others. And you can weigh in at 888-957-9570. That's the call or text, the Xfinity mobile text line. Also Twitch and YouTube, which is powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Or Brock Purdy's interceptions. He's been throwing them a lot in practice. Okay. It's practice. Starts doing in games, we'll talk. Until then, I'm not going to worry about that. Again, too much other stuff and crap in my mind to take up space and to worry about. Interceptions in practice are not one of them. Starts doing it in games, we start seeing, just a fraction of a second difference between last season and this season with arm strength and getting the ball to the target. Then there's concern because that 1 second, that little fraction of a second can make all the difference between a pick and a touchdown. So I get it, but there's too much other stuff in my mind. Thank you, Joe Shasky, for the coffee. Joe Shasky will join me for the crossover next segment, as he does each and every Monday through Friday at 5:45. What's he panicking about right now in sports? We can toss Nick Bosa into that conversation as well. His contract situation, that may be legitimate coming up here. What's there to panic about? Nationally? Could be nationally. I see here on the Xfinity mobile text line, Josh Jacobs holdout. Yeah, it is what it is with some of these running backs. Jonathan Taylor? All right. Jonathan Taylor? What's he doing? When your owner says, you know what? If Jonathan and I are dead, no one's really going to care. The league goes on. Well, yeah, that's a great way to endear yourself to your best player. God. It's just ridiculous. Irsay's comments, I read them just randomly, like they just pop up my feed on X, not Twitter. They pop up randomly. And it's just, did he actually say this? Oh, he did. Oh, God. Sorry, Colts fans. You didn't win a Super Bowl under him, so you can't be too mad at the guy, but also, yikes. What are we panicking about? You can just say Jim Irsay, having him as the owner. I'm sure Washington fans were just like, yeah, Dan Snyder. Well, he's gone, right? He's gone. What else is there to worry about if you're a Washington Commanders fan? Oh, Eric Bieniemy. The players getting too grumpy at him. Ron Rivera. I think that's all squashed now. So what are you panicking about in sports? That's the question. 888-957-9570. We're talking Trey Lance, Giants. Are you panicking about Brock Purdy's interception total? I'm not. And here's JT O'Sullivan, who joined Willard and JD yesterday. JT O'Sullivan, former NFL quarterback, former 49er, as the QB school. Follow him on Twitter. He does a hell of a job breaking down all quarterback film. He broke down the preseason game of the Raiders and Niners last week. Did a great breakdown not only on Darnold, Lance, also Aiden O'Connell, the rookie. Really, really good stuff. And here's JT talking about yesterday. Is 8 games of Purdy a big enough sample size to, say this guy's legit? Here's what he had to say.
it's probably too small of a sample size. The whole idea about Brock Purdy, I think, is going to be interesting to see how the league adjusts, because everybody knows that now they have time to game plan and adjust and see what kind of, what he was bringing to the table, so to speak. And so I don't necessarily think 8 games is enough to make that determination, but I think you have to at least ride it out. So it's not really a choice.
It's not really a choice. So we'll see with Brock Purdy. That's JT O'Sullivan, that's former NFL quarterback right there telling you, yeah, in 8 games, let's see 8 more. I need to see a whole season. That's what I need to see. And will we see that? Will he start every single game this season? Does he need to start every single game this season for you to say, you know what, we found our guy? Or does he need to do more than that? I think for a lot of Niner fans, they've been duped post Steve Young to thinking, Jeff Garcia's my guy. Nah, he's gone. Oh, Alex Smith, he's the dude. Until he wasn't. Oh, it's Colin Kaepernick. That guy. You see what he did? He took us to the Super Bowl. He's gone. Oh, well, Nick Bolins and CJ Beathard. No. Jimmy Garoppolo. God, man, that guy's handsome. Oh, we'll take us to the Super Bowl. Oh, my God. You see what Jimmy did? He just got on a 5-game winning streak at the end of the season. We got to pay this guy. He's our guy of the future. 5 games, I saw him. No. He gone. By the way, do you see some of the comments coming out of, who was that yesterday? Got to find out who wrote that article, because Bonte or Shasky sent it in the group thread yesterday. Some juicy nuggets as it pertains to Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo's relationship. Yikes. Let's just say that. We'll get into that on the other side here because we're up against it a little bit. But as I digress here on the quarterback, you kept thinking you had the quarterback. Then you thought Trey Lance might have been that guy. Looks like he's going to be on the next flight out of here. So I think we need to just pump the brakes a little bit on Brock Purdy. Not saying you can't be excited. Absolutely. This team still has Super Bowl aspirations, and that's a credit to how he played last season. If he can replicate what he did last season, I think this team is in the Super Bowl. And, big if here, if he plays like he did last season, I think they win the Super Bowl. That's crazy. That's crazy for Mr. Irrelevant. It is. But that's how well he played last year. Do it again. Do it again. And do it for 14, 15, 16, 17 games, playoffs, and then in the Super Bowl. Is that unfair? Maybe. But that's what comes with the territory. That's what comes with being the San Francisco 49ers quarterback. Expectations are high. You're trying to find that next Steve Young, Joe Montana. I get it. Those are Hall of Famers. Those are dime a dozen. You're not going to replicate those guys. Well, what Purdy did at times last season, a lot of fans calling in. That was Drew Brees. That was Joe Montana. You got your own GM, John Lynch, saying, Zach Thomas, this guy, there's a lot of people that said he didn't have the frame, the size to do it, and he showed them. Zach Thomas comps now? I just hope this kid can live up to him. I do, because the expectations are high. And will he? That's the question. That's the question I'm going to ask Joe Shasky on the other side for the crossover. Joe Shasky, the Morning Roast, every single day here on 95.7 The Game, Monday through Friday with Bonte Hill, 6 to 10. They do have a hell of a job. That hell of a guest list yesterday when I was out. Bomani Jones, David Lombardi, my goodness. So we'll get into that on the other side here on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Lowe's knows how to save pros time and money. Right now, take up to 40% off select bathroom vanities. Plus, get free local truck delivery.
back. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. Going to be joined here shortly by Joe Shasky of the Morning Roast for the Crossover as he joins me each and every Monday through Friday at 5:45. We've been talking panic in the Bay, folks. A lot of panic going on. Not Joe. Where's he at, by the way? Always love Joe Panic, Gold Glover, World Series champion.
He's with the organization in like the minor leagues or something like that.
Good for him. Like Joe Panic. Could have used him in his glove this series. A lot of errors. Just not feeling the Giants right now. The Giants aren't feeling the Giants. Gabe Kapler getting snippy with the media as they take a 6-1 L yesterday. A lot of panic there. 3-7 in their last 10. 4 straight series losses. And you also got Trey Lance. Panic setting in there. QB2. Is it Darnold? Is it Lance? Is Lance even going to be on the team come week 1? Brock Purdy throwing a lot of picks in practice. Oh, boy. Nick Bosa, is he even going to be a 49er week 1? Is that going to leak into the regular season? There's panic there. So there's a lot of panic going on in the Bay as Joe Shasky joins me now here on the pregame show. Where's my little clip here? Where's my little... Everybody panic! Thank you, Jackie Moon. Everybody panic. Joe, are you panicked or more frustrated right now with what's going on with the San Francisco Giants? And before you chime in, it's a long tease here for Joe Shasky. Let me play the little back and forth yesterday from Gabe Kapler after the game, talking about pitch hitting Meckler for with Austin Slater. And there's a nice little back and forth. It gets a little chippy, some might say, with Gabe Kapler and a media reporter.
Earlier this series, we talked about why you stuck with Wade Meckler and with the bases loaded against a lefty. Bases loaded against a lefty tonight, you decided to pinch hit Slater for him. What changed, if anything, in that decision?
I'm absolutely happy to make the distinction, but I'm just curious if you know the distinction.
Is it just Slater versus Ramos?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a disrespect to Ramos in any way, but I think Ramos has like 4 career pinch hit at bats. Slater's one of the best pinch hitters in baseball. So I don't mind, of course, explaining something, but I just sometimes wonder if the question is, hey, can you say it? Or if that distinction isn't clear. I'm just curious about that.
Slater hasn't been hitting awesome either. He has a more track record, sure, but...
Would you agree that he's one of the 5 best right-handed pinch hitters over the course of the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
Do you think there's that creates a distinction between him and a guy that has 4 career pinch hit at bats?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm just wondering if what you're asking is for me to say that, or if whether or not there's a distinction at all for you.
It was a similar situation, so I think people would be interested to learn and hear you explain it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, again, Slater's one of the best pinch hitters in baseball, particularly against left-handed pitching over the course of the last 3 seasons. And so in that situation, we trust that he's going to go up there and have a good at-bat. He did, and he grounded into a double play. But I had him go up there because he's really, really good at that. Just has had a stretch where he hasn't had a lot of success.
I mean,
your thoughts, Joe.
My head's gonna explode.
If you're on
my head's
YouTube,
gonna explode.
You're seeing this guy just
Hey, here's the thing. I want to make sure I make this very clear on the front end. I'm not even mad at Gabe Kapler nor that response. I have no problem with him asking another question.
I kind of do a little bit.
Okay, you do?
I hate when coaches do. I'm going to answer your question with another question. Just answer the freaking question, dude. It's not that hard.
It's kind of his style. Like, he does that to us. But
that's fine when you're winning. When you're losing, it comes off as salty. And I don't like that.
Fair enough.
Anyways, go ahead.
Here's what I would say. This is an organizational philosophy, and I completely reject it. Okay, so let's just start at the top. The Austin Slater stands. I can't believe
stands?
There are Austin Slater stands, but they're out there. For example, and I think this guy does a really good job on his podcast, the Locked On Giants podcast, Ben Kaspick. Austin Slater is one of the greatest pinch hitting players of all time. If we were having, this is where analytics has completely jumped the sharks. If we're sitting in a room, it's like 6 or 7 baseball guys, okay? Sports fans. Hey, who's the greatest pinch hitter of all time? Not one person with a straight face is going to say Austin Slater.
No.
Not one.
No.
Now, you want to say Lenny Harris?
Yeah, he has 212 of them. I'm looking at it right now.
He had like 800 at-bats. We're talking about 130 at-bats for Slater. And here's the irony. Let's dig a little deeper. Is Austin Slater used like in the classic Lenny Harris role of, hey, it's the 8th inning. We got runners on first and second. Let's go to the pinch hitter, and we're going to sub him out. No. He gets pinch hit in the 2nd inning and then plays another 4 or 5 innings. Yeah. So how many of these quote-unquote pinch hit at-bats are actually substitution at-bats?
He's not Matt Stairs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the guy who, 7, 8 home runs? Yeah. He's not even Willie McCovey, who has 4 grand slams as a pinch hitter. At what point does form matter? This is a guy 0 for his last 7. This is a guy 1 for his last 23. This is a guy who's 7 of his last 60, batting 119. At what point do the last 60 at-bats matter? Then let me go back. You're down 5. It's bases loaded. A day ago, you got thrown out of the game, Gabe, for defending the honor of Wade Meckler on a strike zone.
I actually like that, too.
No, yes. I agree. And then the day before that, you defended saying, we are going to try to make some everyday players who can hit against righties and lefties, and Wade we view as one of those guys. And no less than 48 hours later, do you immediately revert back to a guy who is frozen? He's not even ice cold. Let it go. He's frozen.
Shout out Elsa.
Austin Slater is frozen. He's turned back into a pumpkin. And you go to the well of batting for Austin Slater, which predictably he makes an out. And of course he makes an out. And then you get defensive about it. Dear God, you analytics dorks, the game is not about just plug and play. These are humans. And we look, Austin Slater, he's 286 in his career, pinch hitting, so he's the greatest pinch hitter of all time. No, he's not. I could list 200 guys who fear a pitching staff more than Austin Slater. Shut up.
All-time pinch hit records, by the way. Matt Stairs, 23, so let's put that on your trivia board.
I knew Matt Stairs was up there. I just didn't know he had 23.
Willie McCovey has most grand slams, tied with Rich Reese. 3.
3. I thought it was
and
4,
Ron
but
Northey.
Nonetheless.
Yeah. Brooks Conrad, most pinch hit game-winning grand slams with 2. There you go.
Brooks Conrad?
2.
And again, if I said Brooks Conrad to a bar full of people, you know what they're going to say? Made an error in the divisional round series when Buster Posey hit him a tailor-made ground ball, right? So, again, these analytics people, you're ruining your own product, number one.
Yeah.
The game is played by humans. And this is where I'm not even mad at Kapler. I'm mad at Farhan, and I'm mad at the philosophy. And here's the problem. Every little move can be justified under, we think this guy gives us a marginally better opportunity of potentially coming through in this situation because the numbers over the last couple of years have told us that he hits 12 percentage points better. It's Jazz Chisholm said it so beautifully, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. Dog, I'm 23. If I never get to face lefties, how can I prove to you that I've improved or can hit lefties down the line when I never face them?
Well, that's the thing. And that's why you're so frustrated. I hear you. It's because, listen, we're trying to develop this young talent. Listen, this team's clearly not going to be going too far. They're on a downtrot. They might not even make the playoffs. But at least you had some young guys that you can hang your hat on, right? That's why it's so frustrating. It's because we're sending down these guys. And you bring up the Meckler, that's great. I want to see him play. Let him fail.
Joe.
How is he ever going to get better if he's not even going to be put in a position, I should say. Sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
No.
Put in a position to fail. You got to let him fail before they improve. You had Brett Boone on, I think, a month ago, saying the same thing. He's like, that's great. And I understand that analytics, there's great value to that with pinch hit situations. But the major theme and overarching goal of this season is to develop young talent. Austin Slater's not going to be the dude 4 or 5 years from now. I'm hoping the Mecklers are of the world, the Lucianos, the Ramoses, the Matoses of the world. I want those guys to be what leads this team in the future. I want to see them fail a little bit. And I understand the goal of the season is to make the playoffs. I understand that. But these kind of games and these situations, when you're down 6-1, 5-1, whatever it was to the Rays, come on.
It's infuriating.
You weren't winning that game. Let Meckler go up there and fail if that's what he was going to do. I'd rather see him fail than Austin Slater, which is what he did. Come on. I understand your frustration, Joe. I really do. I do.
Part of baseball, what makes it beautiful, is that a young guy gets called up and he gets an opportunity in a situation like that, bases loaded, to endear himself to a fan base. And you robbed him of that moment. Yeah. You have now, this month alone,
it's frustrating.
In the first couple days of a call-up, you have pinch hit for Ramos, Matos, Luciano, and Wade Meckler.
Yeah.
Not allowing them an opportunity to drive in a run early in their career and build confidence.
No.
What are we doing? What are we doing? And then I look back at roster construction. Wilmer Flores can only play against certain players and can only play certain positions. Jock Peterson can only hit against certain people, righties. Okay, cannot play any defense. Blake Sable can only hit against righties, right? Like, you've built an entire team that can only go up against either a righty or a lefty. Slater, another one. Like that. There's just too many of them. You can have one or two. You can't have 7.
So I'm looking at their schedule right now. The San Francisco Giants and Joe Shasky joining me here on the pregame show for the Cross Joe. We're doing a hell of a job. Just cutting mixtapes, cutting spitting. He's Macho Man Randy Savage out here cutting a promo.
Could you imagine, just real quick, my head's going to... First at bat ever. It's Nolan Ryan versus Will Clark. Just close your eyes. You know, Will hits better against lefties than he does righties. We're going to pinch hit for him in his major league debut right here. Instead, Will Clark hits a home run off Nolan Ryan. But Farhan and the analytics nerds, we're going to pinch. Well, in this situation, let's go to the best pinch hitter of all time, Austin Slater.
You're being a little bit
shut the hell up.
You're being a little over the top. I don't think that's going to happen.
It's 6 a.m. and I'm losing my mind. I apologize.
It's all right. 4 a.m. Babe Ruth music. Shout out Andre Nicotina. But I know what you're saying. They wouldn't do that, but I get the overarching point. They pinch hit
for Luciano. We heard about him for 5 years.
Luciano's not Will Clark. Like, come on.
But it was his third time ever to walk up to the plate in his major league debut. Pinch hit.
I know. It's frustrating. It is. But that's just where baseball is at this moment. But again, when they go up against the team they're about to go up against, the Braves, you're going to see what true analytics meeting legit talent looks like. That's the Braves.
Yes.
That's what the Phillies are going to be. Hell, the Reds. You're going to be seeing some of these teams coming up. I'm just looking at their schedule, Joe Shasky. We have a couple seconds here. We're up against it. The only bad team they're playing the rest of the year is the Colorado Rockies. And one of those series is in Colorado. And that means the Colorados aren't a bad team in Colorado. That's like a legit team because, yeah, it's not looking great for this team. You got the Cubs coming up. They're red hot. They had a hell of a walk-off last night. That was sick to watch. You got the Dodgers, you got the Padres, you got the Diamondbacks. So it's going to be exciting down the stretch here. It all starts tomorrow. Whew. The Braves in hot Atlanta, Joe Shasky.
Oh, but they're right in the second wild card spot.
They're going to be pinch hitting Matt Olson, you think?
10 games behind the Dodgers. They did nothing at the deadline. All right, now I'm not even saying, like, I know, somewhere Mark Willard is getting his wings right now as we speak, and he's saying, there was no one to be had. Then don't tell me you're going to be big players at the deadline.
I think Mark said the Dodgers didn't get better at the deadline, but they just won 10 straight.
They extended their lead by 5 games since the deadline.
That's Joe Shasky. I'm Joe Spadoni. Morning Roast next, 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Every business deserves a great deal. That's why, for a limited time, we're launching the Mobile Made Free event. With Comcast Business Internet, new and existing customers can find out how to get one line of unlimited mobile free for a year. Yep, you heard that right.